fully formed yet in my mind. It came to disrupt sort of my personal life. It made me look beyond the fringes of my personal concerns. I had to look beyond myself to my society and the world around me. I noticed that there was a change. Things were changing all around me. I noticed that there was a paradigm shift of focus amongst the people from their leaders to themselves. And I'm happy to say that in Nigeria today, we're part of that movement. My name is Okolo Oteri Eme. As Corporate Pastor said, well, it looks like my name is a complete Nigerian name because it comes from different, should I say, ethnic groups and tribes. I don't think I would go further with that. But now back to the topic, governance, the role or the office of the citizen of the Federal Republic. I'm happy that most of what we've been hearing today is shifting the focus from government. Government has its role, but there must be a critical mass of citizens that must drive change. We cannot rely on government alone. So we must look deep within ourselves and bring up our potentials, bring up our gifts, our talents, and bring about the change that we so desire to see. Now, it was Andrew Johnson, the 17th President of the United States, that said, and I quote, that the life of a republic lies, certainly, I would like to emphasize that, in the energy, the virtue, and the intelligence of its citizens. In other words, no republic, no country can rise above these characteristics of its citizens. Therefore, it's obvious for us to see that we must shift our focus away, just a little bit, from government. Yes, they have a role, but we have an important role to play to ensure that the government delivers good governance. Because no matter how we look at it, businesses, private sector cannot thrive without good governance. Now, the most preferred method of government or governance world over is democracy. It basically means that power is vested in the people. Here again, the focus is the people, who rule directly or indirectly through a group of freely elected representatives. However, we find out that when the word government or governance is mentioned, what readily comes to the mind of the citizens is a group of men and women who occupy roles of authority in the country. However, we must realize that we have a critical role to play. We must focus, we must join the world in that paradigm shift of focus from government in itself to ourselves. What are our roles? What are our responsibilities? We must be able to ask government the hard questions without feeling like we are insulting or abusing the government, because without feedback, no system can work. Without feedback, no system can be effective. And government in itself must create a platform for interaction between citizens and themselves. And this must be done devoid of undue harassment and restraints. Now, what does governance really mean? We as citizens have to understand that. Now, governance just generally means traditions or way of doing things, or institutions. Now, those institutions are very important because those institutions are what will regulate our social and economic interaction. That's the social and economic interaction between government and its citizens. So, basically means the interaction, the traditions and institutions that regulates or by which authority is exerted in or exercised in a country. Now, I would like to take a look at the various aspects of governance, and by the time we all look at them, we should be able to see ourselves in these roles. The first I would like to talk about is selecting government. It's our role to select government as citizens. It's not a privilege, it's a right. We are the hirers. We hire them to do the job. And this process must be seen, must be free and fair. And beyond just hiring them, we must monitor their activity. And that again puts the focus on the citizen. We must monitor their activities and ensure they're delivering good governance at all levels, not just at the national level. Both the local and the state should also be our concern. Apart from that, we should also know that it's our right to replace government if they fail in delivering their responsibilities or if their tenure runs out. Another aspect also is that on policy development, which is very important. Yes, government develops policies. They should develop the capacity to develop strong policies and ensuring fiscal and strategic planning linkages. But we as individuals, we must monitor such processes and ensure that we have a voice. Our voice is heard in policy decisions. Beyond that also, we must also follow up the process of implementation. All the policies shouldn't end on paper on a shelf gathering dust. We should ensure that we engage government in the implementation of these policies. Now, the final aspect has to do with the citizen and the government themselves. Now, it involves the respect of the citizen and the state for the institutions. Those institutions are very important, that regulate their social and economic interaction. Therefore, everything must be done within the ambits of the law. Now, having talked about government, now let's go back to the citizen. Like I said earlier, the citizen has a critical role to play in the delivery of good governance at every level. Now, depending on democracies, you will have young democracies all over the world. Usually, we find that this structure sort of is informal. But government should ensure empowerment of the citizens and education of the citizens. In other words, there should be an attempt at institutionalizing the office of the citizen of the Federal Republic. Why? Does government have anything to gain? Yes, we are all going to be winners, and I'll talk about that later. Now, beyond free and fair elections, there should be an effort to secure the social, economic, and cultural rights of the citizens, even those that are deprived, those who do not have a voice. They should be given a voice, and they should be able to participate in the decision-making process of government. Apart from decision-making, they should also be able to affect government priorities. Now, what are the benefits? Like I said, everybody is a winner, both government and the citizens. Is a winner when you have an active office of the citizen of the Federal Republic. Now, first of all, such an office will deepen democracy. And we know that when democracy is deepened, the benefits come accrues to all of us. Beyond that, it helps to orient government policies towards the needs of communities. Because government is up there, somehow, we are in the middle or down there, they may not have an understanding of what we need as citizens. But if we have an interaction, a platform of engagement, they will be able to see our needs and understand. And when they're able to carry out such needs, you find out that there is the citizens have a feeling of ownership. The feeling of citizenship is enhanced. They don't feel a sense of being unequal. So the things that bring about the feelings of inequality and feelings of anger are not necessarily be there anymore. And as a result, the citizens will have the confidence to look beyond the need for instant gratification or tokenism towards more sustainable models of development. Because it's when citizens feel insecure, that's why they feel the need to request for bribes for votes and things like that. But if we can have this solid structure for engagement, even when at the point in time you are at the level of development, you will have the confidence in government, believing that they will do good and that even generations unborn will benefit from such policies. Beyond that, it also ensures that government has a positive impact in the life of the citizens. It helps to ensure that there is an improved level of quality of service delivery, and more importantly, it helps to ensure that our natural resources or our natural wealth are equally distributed. Like we talked about, all speakers talked about inequality, and the first speaker talked about this cesspool of anger. Usually this feeling of injustice is usually underneath, simmering, waiting to break forth. And government policy is one of the easiest things that can make this erupt. And then these policies, bad policies, can put flesh to the skeleton of group fears, and then violence can break out. So those are some of the benefits. Now, what should be our targets as citizens? What should this office of the citizen target? Now, the first and most important is our freedom. It was President Reagan who said that freedom itself is a very fragile thing. It's just one generation away from extinction. So the citizen must defend its freedom with all its energy, with all its virtue, and with all its intelligence. Intelligence, because we must be able to collect information, we must be able to interpret such information and be able to disseminate it to other members of the public in a way in which they can easily understand. So you can find out that this is very, very important for us at all levels, even up to the local government level. Engaging government will always bring about good returns for everyone. Now, another aspect which focus is budget priorities. We must be able to influence budget priorities. Now, talking about budget priorities, I want to talk about needs of communities, because our budget should be directed towards the needs of the communities. Now, the two about needs, I'd like to classify into felt needs. Felt needs are the needs that the community feels. Those are the things they feel that will correct the deficiencies at the level of their community. You can have other needs like normative needs, those are needs identified by experts, or comparative needs, those that probably are extrapolated from communities that seem to have similar demographics. But is there any community that is really homogeneous? People are always different, their needs are always different. And maybe at times you find this disconnect between government and the people, because government feels, oh, we've done all of this for you, yet you do not see what we have done, because you have not met their need, the things that they feel that they require. So that is why the office of the citizen of the Federal Republic is so important. Like we can find both government and the people win. It's all a win-win situation. Now, beyond the needs I mentioned, anticipatory needs must be put in focus, because government should be a continuum. And we must plan for the future. Our children unborn, generations unborn, we must be seen to plan for them. Because if we do not plan, our whole structure of governance can come crashing just in one day. So these are just the aspects. And then another aspect is the level of service delivery. We must be able to sort of monitor levels of service delivery of government. The last aspect which I want to talk about is acceptability of physical and functional capital projects. The citizens should also be involved in this aspect. Now, I see that I'm running out of time, so I'll just try to make it fast. Now, what are the structures that are on ground that can help citizens to engage? First of all, the media is so important. That's why we must defend media freedom. Now, other aspects could be through civil society, could be through loosely organized advocacy groups, which will speak for people who ordinarily would not have a voice, or people who are deprived. I'm happy that there's some talks coming up that are sort of advocacy for some people who do not have a voice. Because if somebody, the citizens, don't speak up to for these people, such groups will never be recognized. Their problems will never be understood. So these are some of the platforms. Then one of the ways also by which citizens can engage the government is through their representatives. We must engage them through social media, their Twitter handles, writing letters, writing petitions. Very important, because we must direct their focus towards our needs. Because at the end of the day, that's what governance is all about. Now, scattered over the landscape of Africa, we find the carcasses of that disconnect between government and its people. It's seen as, we find it as violent reactions, protests all over, resulting in unrest. However, we as citizens must look beyond our history. We must look beyond our past. We must look to the future. We must have the courage to look and see a silver lining in the sky. We must, as a people, drive government to bridge the gap between their rhetoric and reality. They must also bridge the gap between our potential and our real-time achievements. We must live our dream. we must have the country that we are proud